MC talks, yeah, we run that news. Celeb drops hot, we bring those views. Lights my actions, spill that tea. It's MC talk for the stars gon' be. Talks, 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 talks.
Head and jump into Coach Sherrone Moore. Now, Coach Sherrone Moore, he was the head football coach at Michigan State University. Now, he was making $6 million a year. He was on a 5-year contract totaling to $30 million. So he was in a $30 million contract, and he ruined it by having an affair with the executive assistant. Now, he was already married and had 3 kids. He was already married to Snow Bunny, and then he had an affair with another Snow Bunny, which is the executive assistant of his. And he basically gave this executive assistant a raise, a 55% raise, and he bumped her pay up to $90,000 a year. Not only that, them two was messing around, and I feel like, he panicked because he had ordered a plan B through DoorDash. When he found out that he knocked her up, he panicked because he didn't want it. First of all, his employment was in state, and that, he's already married. The wife going to end up divorcing him and putting him on child support. So he panicked, ordered a plan B through DoorDash. And I feel like since this mistress took the plan B, got rid of the baby, I'm assuming, she felt the way because, according to sources, he had cut her off after that. He had cut her off and didn't want no more to do with her, or relationship-wise, like in that matter, like, messing with her. So she felt the way, and this is all my assumption. This is what I think, transpired during this whole thing that went national. I think that she felt the way because she had to give up her baby that she having with this man that's in a $30 million contract, making good money, that just gave her a raise and that she was falling for. And I think that since he was getting ready to cut her off, she gave the evidence, done told the university about their affair, because let's be clear, as quiet as it kept, workplaces are messy. Workplaces are messy, so people be gossiping and stuff. So she could have been bragging about messing with the head coach, or he could have been talking to one of the male staffers and stuff there, saying, yeah, I getting that, I'm hitting that. You know what I'm saying? And then word and got around on campus and stuff, and then it sparked an investigation, and then it all had been basically out there. And then with the executive assistant coming out saying like, hey, it happened, and telling the university what happened between them, he lost his job. He was fired because they have a policy, no fraternizing policy. And the update on this story is he crashes out. He lost his job. The wife probably getting ready to divorce him. They probably going through some things. And what's weird, and oddly enough, the wife and the mistress was following each other on Instagram. And that's weird too. So it kind of makes sense of what I'm alluding here. But this is my assumption. I feel like the mistress was watching the wife. I feel like she wanted that wife position. And she couldn't get that, so she turned the head coach in, their relationship in, to the university. And they reacted and they fired him. And the update is he crashes out, goes to the former assistant apartment with a knife ready to off her and himself. Okay. So he was later caught down the road at a church, and they arrested him and stuff like that. He was booked. So the whole thing with that is, the head coach, he making all this money. He's thinking in his head, I could never be caught. I done gave her a salary raise, and I'm giving her So I don't think she will ever turn me in, but he thought wrong because I feel like the mistress wanted the wife position, if you get what I'm saying. She wanted the wife position and she couldn't get that. So she retaliated, made him and turned him in, made him lose his job as the head coach, making that 5-year contract money, that 30 million, okay, 6,000 a year. She made him lose that. And then on top of that, now he's getting ready to probably face divorce and child support. And let's be clear on this. The work, like I said before, the workplaces are messy. So, you got people gossiping, but he was the first black man to hold that position, I'm assuming, from what I've seen in some of these articles. And you probably got people like, he don't deserve that position. You got a lot of people hating on that. And, like, he didn't deserve that. How he get that position? And now that had transpired and went on, they done gave up his position to somebody else now. Quickly, fast, and quickly. They didn't really want that black man to probably have that position. That's what I'm assuming. But he messed that up on himself because he thought he was up here and that he could do whatever he want and he would never be caught. And that's why you got to be vigilant and you got to really think and have common sense when you are making that type of money and when you're on top like that, because then you got people who's plotting to try to come in your life to only take that away from you or take from you. So Shannon Sharpe, he basically, was feeling sympathy for Coach Sherrone Moore. Okay, he was basically feeling sympathy for the Michigan head coach. He said that their situation is kind of relatable. So we're going to hear what Shannon Sharpe had to say, and then I'm going to come back with my commentary.
I think a situation like this can happen to you, even though you're doing what you've heard about. Nah, this is going to be different. She ain't like that. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to get out. Don't nobody know but her and I, blah, blah, blah. And I can imagine 6-7 months ago, I went through something very similar. So I know what that storm is like.
Yes, sir.
And unless you've been in it, that's why when people say, this is what I would do, you don't know what you would do until you in it. Until you in that pressure cooker, until you in the eye of the storm.
Yes, sir.
Until you in Ocho, you and I have had a conversation. So
yes,
I know. To be in that storm and
Crazy.
to know everybody know everything that you worked your entire life for. You feel it like it's crumbling right before your eyes.
Gone.
Yeah. And
so that's what Shannon Sharpe had to say about the situation, relating himself to that situation. Both of them let a snow bunny, come in and just destroy everything they had going for them. Given that the head coach of Michigan, he was married to a snow bunny, he knew better. He knew the policy, no fraternizing, but he decided to do it anyway because he simply thought that he wasn't going to get caught. And besides, he knew better. He was married. You know what I'm saying? So he stepped out on his marriage, and that was the wrong decision that he made. So for Shannon Sharpe to feel sorry for him it's kind of crazy, so to speak, because this man was married and he had kids by his wife, and he decided to step out. But what oddly is, and strangely, that the wife and the mistress was following each other on Instagram. That was weird in itself. But back to Shannon. I think that Shannon fell away because he lost $50 million to Gabby and Tony Busby. Basically, when all that had went down, Shannon, he was coming out saying they trying to shake me down. They trying to shake me down for my money, but then ended up settling for this $50 million that was handed out. And handed out and said, hey, you're going to pay me $50 million for what you did to me, blase, blase, according to Gabby. So he lost that money and he's feeling it right now. He lost his job behind that. He lost ESPN. He lost that contract. Shannon was making up the money, making some money. And now he only have his podcast and his show with Ocho, whatever you say his name is. So everything that these guys have done, they've done it to themselves. And Shannon should have took Monique warning and took heed to that and took Monique's warning and said, hey, because she was like, hey, Shannon, stop messing with them young girls. Leave them young girls alone. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't want to listen. He wanted that young poom poom. And look where it got him. So, he lost everything he had going for him messing with one of them snow bunnies. All right. Snow bunny that was old enough to be his daughter. Okay. But didn't want to pay a lot of money for his real daughter's wedding, but willing to give up $50 million to Gabby and Tony Busby. Didn't even try to put up a fight because they had some type of evidence that he just said, forget it, I'm not going to fight it. They had something against Shannon Sharpe, so he didn't even try to fight it. He's something he didn't really want out there like that because everything is public when you go into these lawsuits. So these people, these guys, they be up here, they be making this type of money, and then all common sense go out the door. They think they can do what they want to do, and because they making this type of money, they think they can, treat people a certain way or do what they want to do and think no consequences going to be involved. And then when they find out that, that what they are doing has caught up to them and they find out they get ready to lose this money, lose these deals that they got, then they want to crash out, feel sympathy for one another, but they the ones that had this bad decisions, made these bad decisions, and can't blame nobody but themselves. So that's what I say, that's what I want to say about that. So I think Shannon Sharpe, he just in his feelings, he's upset. He had to basically play this girl, Gabby, somebody he was messing with, a young girl, $50 million. And he felt like this was the right time to tell his side and, and get it out. And you heard Ocho and all of them in the background like, yeah, man, yeah. They over there like, they didn't know that he was going to come out and, and vent to the people like that and feel sympathy for this guy. But they, like I said, they can't blame nobody but themselves for their wrong decisions.